Welcome to JD's Prep. All right, for the next 3 questions, we have an example here about ice fish. So our blurb here is talking about over 50 million years, ice fish evolving adaptations contributing to their success in surviving in decreasing water temperatures. Okay, so apparently they have the ability to produce an antifreeze protein. It prevents their blood from freezing in water that is below the normal freezing point of fresh water. Okay, so upon analysis of this DNA, scientists have documented genetic changes that gave rise to this antifreeze gene. Okay, so digestive enzyme gene through process X gave rise to antifreeze protein gene. So we're talking about genetic changes, one gene through a process turning into a gene that codes for something different. Process X is mutation. Okay, that is the process that will give us that genetic change. All right, the next question is asking how the process of natural selection can account for this increase in frequency of the antifreeze protein gene in this ice fish population. They're asking about natural selection, so they want to hear you using kind of that lingo of natural selection. Okay, so in natural selection, we have the individuals with desirable traits survive better, they survive longer, and then they are able to reproduce and pass on that trait to the next generation. So in this case, we have the fish that have the antifreeze protein gene. Those are the ones that are able to survive as the water gets colder and colder. They survive longer, they reproduce, they pass on that gene. Those fish that don't have the antifreeze protein gene, they don't survive, and therefore they don't reproduce. So those genes are getting less and less common. And lastly, there's a multiple choice question here. That's talking about ice fish along with the antifreeze gene. Ice fish also have DNA sequences that are similar to those of other fish species in terms of the DNA sequences in hemoglobin genes. Those DNA sequences are not complete anymore, therefore they're not functional in ice fish. If we're talking about DNA sequences that are similar to other fish species, what we're talking about or what we're thinking about is kind of maybe a common ancestor that's split off to have other fish and ice fish. And that common ancestor would have had hemoglobin, which is why the ice fish still have parts of that DNA sequence. Okay, so let's look at the answers. This first one is our best answer. So ice fish ancestors had hemoglobin. Okay, it's unlikely that ice fish would start producing something that wouldn't help them survive. This one doesn't make sense. Wouldn't be made by fish that don't have genes for it. And again, this is not really relevant in terms of what we're being asked. Okay, so the answer is 1. All right, thank you for using JD's Prep.